Remaker 2 to Remaker 1.4, and here I am creating the left sprite, left animation sprite for the character. And what I'm doing is I'm just basically, I copied the right sprite and I'm just flipping I copied the right animation, I'm just flipping the sprites, so the point left. And this was a good way to, save a little bit of time and not have to copy and paste the other sprites out from the sprite sheet onto a new sprite. So I think after this, I figure out a easier way to put the sprites in the GameMaker 1.4 from GameMaker 2 is I just directly copy and paste the animation sprites, which made it a lot easier to set up all the sprites because I didn't really have to cut them out through the sprite sheet. And that is another part of, put the little hill that I had to get through to relearn how to use GameMaker 1.4, but it was relatively easy after I figured it out. And yeah, so what I'm planning on setting up this game to be is like basically have all the things you can do in Animal Crossing in Red Rover, but the character, there'll be a more emphasis on your neighbors and your friends. Like they'll have way different personalities than Animal Crossing does, because Animal Crossing, it seems like through the years they've dumbed down their personalities on their animals. So that's one thing that I missed from Animal Crossing. So I think I'm gonna work on that and make their personalities more varied. And sometimes they can get upset at you, and sometimes they'll be super super happy with you. So, and I want to ultimately set up more mini games essentially that you can do with them. So like you can play mini games like who catches a fish first, or who can dig up this much gold first, and then also have like maybe hide and seek would be a good one to put in, and a couple others. I don't know if you guys have any ideas. I would greatly appreciate if you post them in the comments, and I will take them into consideration. So, sorry, I'm not very good with talking over. I'm just seeing what's happening. I'm still working on copying the sprites, I think. Yeah, I'm testing where the sprites are. Okay, and so I really want to have that Animal Crossing feel to it, but I don't want to blatantly, copy paste Animal Crossing, because, I can get in real trouble for that. So I'll have to essentially think up of different ways to make it different than Animal Crossing. But I want the laid back feel and the emphasis on your making friends and all that. So yeah, I'm I think I'm fixing the sprites here to make sure that they're all in the right spots, so that way the animations line up correctly. And I'm thinking of putting different animals as the main character as well. So like maybe there could be a cat and a dog and some other things. And I want you to be able to have actual pets. So it's going to be a bit controversial, but it's my game. I can do whatever I want with it. So if I want a pet cat and be a cat, then I'm going to do it. And I think it would be cool to have like a mini game for a fish tank. Like in Animal Crossing, you can't really have multiple fish in one tank, but maybe I can set it up so that you can buy a fish tank from the store, and then you can put whatever fish you want in it, depending on how big that fish tank is, and they'll show up and swim around in the tank. Being a 2.5D game, I don't know how I'll set that up quite yet, but I'm just bouncing ideas, so I think it would be really cool to do that. And maybe have like an insect cage where you can like put a bunch of different insects in it. And I'm planning on adding fishing, and I didn't say anything about bug catching, but yes, bug catching will be in the game too. I just have to figure out how to code it. And I gotta start from the base game so I can set it up like that. So another thing I wanted to do was clean up the code a bit, because the code that's currently in the game is not very, the way I had it set up before was not very clean, and so it was hard to understand. But with GameMaker 1.4, I will be able to clean up the code, because GameMaker 1.4 is basically drag and drop and code, so you can add your own code into the game, or you can use the drag and drop preference that is built in GameMaker. That's why I like GameMaker so much, because the drag and drop makes it simple for me to understand what's happening, and then entering code makes it so I can have it as complex as I want. There is a little bit of a jump between understanding GameMaker language and other code, but it's really relatively simple. It's really close to JavaScript. So if you know JavaScript, then you'll easily be able to understand GameMaker language. And I'm really wanting to get this game off the ground and set up a demo for it, because this is like one of my favorite games that I've ever made. I've made a couple more games in the past. Like there's a balloon popping game that I made for the phone, and it's relatively simple. You just drag the balloon around and keep it from getting popped. So I like that game, and that was my more fleshed out game, but it was really super simple, and I made it in like a week. And at this point, I wasn't realizing what time it is, and I figured out that I used all my time. So I'll have to say thanks for watching. See you next time.